Hey everybody, I'm Lynn Cannon with KHOU 11 News along with investigative reporter Cheryl Mercedes. Big story she has on tonight at 10 o'clock. A lot of, for lack of a better word, nonsense going on some of our school buses. You refer to it as danger on board. The school bus drivers
Exactly.
are victims here. What's going on?
So if you saw our story a few months ago with the teachers in classrooms who were injured by students, these are
Yes.
elementary school students, we went ahead and decided, hey, bus drivers contacted us and said, we are experiencing similar things or worse on our buses. Please look into this. So we did. And we looked into the reports in 5 Houston area school districts and noticed that bus drivers were indeed being injured on buses. So we went from there and gathered a group of them to hear their stories.
And what did they tell you?
Well, some of them are being hit, hair pulled, screamed at, spit on, balls, quarters, shoes thrown at them while they're driving. And Len, they told me this doesn't happen at the stoplight on the surface streets. The kids are smart. They wait till I get on the freeway because they know I can't pull over. That's dangerous.
Wow.
Think about the speed limit.
So you and I were having this conversation before we went on.
Yeah.
Where's the parental control? Because if I had pulled a stunt like that,
Correct.
my mother would be waiting on me at the next
Right?
bus stop.
Absolutely.
Hello, come here.
Absolutely. So the bus drivers are telling the parents, because sometimes they have to circle back in the morning and wait on the child, which is a completely different story, but they speak to the parents. And some of them say the parents will say, oh, I'll talk to them, or I knew that already, or this is what I'm dealing with. So they're not really getting much
they get no
help
empathy or
from
help.
the parents.
So what
No.
happens? So the bus drivers, what's happening? They're getting spit on,
Hair
stuff thrown at them,
pulls,
hair
things thrown at
pulled,
them,
cursed at.
cursed out.
So
yeah.
so don't you go? That's a violation of the student code of
Conduct,
right?
correct.
Like in HISD, for example.
Yes.
So who at HISD is responsible for disciplining the kids?
The school administrators, the school principals.
And are they doing that?
Well, according to the bus drivers, the penalties are not stiff enough. So some students are being suspended and are given detentions, but also in the policy for HISD, it says that a student could lose riding privileges.
They could be taken off the bus.
Exactly.
Has that happened?
Parents have to bring the kids to and from school. That might teach them a lesson. No, the bus drivers say that is not happening, and that is the problem.
So what is happening? They're gone for a while. The people, the violators, the offenders, they're gone for a while, then they're back on the bus?
That's what they say is happening.
Do they act up again, or do they learn their lesson?
For the most part, the bus drivers say it's the same repeat offenders. Now, a couple of them I spoke with, Len, they've been doing this 30 plus years. These are not new bus drivers. And they're saying they're reporting it to their supervisors. They're reporting it to the school officials, but there's a communication breakdown somewhere. And what's happening, they say, is the student could be having a bad day in the classroom or be disruptive, but no one's telling them. So guess where the problem winds up? Take a listen.
Because one little boy, he wanted to get off the bus, and I wouldn't let him off. You're not supposed to let him out without a person there at the school to come and get him. And he did this because he was mad with me.
So say some students are fighting at school, right? They're away from the school leaders, they're away from their teacher.
On the bus.
Right, and the bus driver has no idea that Joe, for example, and Jason were fighting in class. So they bring it onto the bus and it continues there, and the bus drivers say they are having to deal with that.
Did you hear from school administrators in this story about how to do this to discipline better?
We did not. We asked for interviews from at least two school districts, and we were declined that opportunity. They simply just sent us the policy. So we were not able to ask what the issues are as far as what's happening in school and what kind of steps they're taking. However, HISD did tell me they're moving out the middleman, which is the supervisor of the bus driver, and allowing them to report straight to the school administrators. So that could close the gap, if you will, of the communication breakdown.
So there's nothing lost in translation, so to speak.
Exactly.
So, but did you also find out that a certain number of bus drivers in these 5 districts have been injured?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. So we're talking, they've been bitten, there's bite marks, injuries to multiple body parts, that's how it was described. bruises, cuts, and it goes on from there.
So this is
punched.
So we'd like to say, you know, bus drivers, they're dealing in precious cargo. They shouldn't have to worry about the cargo attacking them, so to speak.
They've got the rules of the road. They've got school zones. They've got to obey the traffic laws. And they're driving this huge vehicle.
So if they crash,
exactly,
people are
everyone's
looking
in
at them,
danger,
what's
and that's what
wrong
they're
with you?
saying. That's
Right.
what they're saying. You know, they have that mirror, and they have to keep looking up, keep looking up. That takes their eyes off the road.
Yeah, this
So-
is beyond just rowdy kids being loud and and getting a little boisterous on a bus. This is
Absolutely.
like turning into assault or outright disrespect.
And it's a rare occasion that they stay seated during this ride, Len. Listen to what one bus driver said. The students just kind of take their turns walking right up to the driver's seat. Take a listen.
You know, a lot of times it starts inside the school, and they want to bring it into this small little setting, which is a bus, which is ridiculous. They don't do it outside the school. They probably do sometime outside school, but why would you wait to get on a bus in this little bitty spot? Dangers other lives, all of our lives. You don't know what they have, what they packing, what they brought inside that bus. So if it was a problem at
That's
the
the
school,
wrong
they
bite.
should have handled it at the school and sent them
I
home.
don't know what she's. Okay, so that's Lizzie Revels right there, and she's talking about how the problems, as we said, in the building sometimes translate onto the bus, and then there's an issue. Now, this bus driver who you saw right there, Len, she actually had an incident where she couldn't get help from dispatch, so she had to call the cops.
She had to call
because
911.
She overheard that there might be a gun on board.
Oh my gosh. So what happened?
Well, she says she took the students back to the school on the bus, and when she got there, the police officers were waiting and surrounded the bus, checked the bus, and guess what they found?
Nothing.
A gun.
They found the gun.
They found a gun on the bus.
Oh my
They
gosh.
pulled the surveillance tape. They were able to see which student had it and so forth. Now, we don't know the disciplinary action, and of course the student was
Because
underage.
it becomes,
exactly.
privacy.
But the whole point here is students are bringing guns on buses. I mean, when you think of violence, we don't know what the intention was there.
Right. Aren't kids supposed to be sitting during the bus ride?
They are. They're
And
supposed to be
some-
sitting down, but they're taking their
Aren't you-
turns, walking to the
We're talking
front
about
of the bus.
spitting and pulling hair. Why aren't you, and walking up to the driver, why are you sitting down? And don't most of the buses now, as I seem to recall, because of an accident, deadly accident a few years ago, don't they have seatbelts on the buses?
Yeah.
So why are you up?
There's some, it's
Still, like it's not on all the buses.
not
Yeah.
all of the buses. That's the problem. But all of the buses do have cameras. So,
Thank goodness for that.
right, exactly. And that's what the bus drivers say. Sometimes they have to tell the parents, look, your child did this. And the parents say, not my kid. And she says, pull the tape. Then whose kid is that?
So if anybody knows that there's a camera, the kids obviously know.
Right.
What are they doing? They
Right.
know they can't get away with it.
Right. And the bus drivers, too, say that when they call dispatch to radio for help or to report something, they have to be careful with the codes they use because the kids are smart and they know what's going on.
Yeah.
So there's no privacy board or anything like that. It's just there's no soundboard, audio room. It is the bus driver calling in, and they have to be careful with how they say things because a child could react to what they're saying and cause a crash.
I wonder the sense that you got from talking to the bus drivers. Are they frustrated, scared? Do they want to quit? What?
They're fed up. And I asked the ones who had been there 30-something years, why are you doing this? Why do you do this? And a lot of the times is we love the children. I'm like, there are other jobs you can do where you can be around children and it can be rewarding. And they say, no, we're the gateway. We're the gateway to and from school every single day. Plus, this is a good job for me where I can do other things in the middle of the day.
Got
I
it.
have to care for a parent, a family member. This works out for me. And they believe that it can work if the rules are enforced. But the issue right now, they say, is all the kids are on the bus. No one's getting kicked off the bus for the rest of the year. So guess what? The parents aren't getting involved because they're not having to drive the kids to and from. So they're thinking if the parents would have to drive these kids, they would get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would inconvenience them.
That would do it.
Yeah, exactly. And
Are
that's
we-
what they're looking for.
I'm just wondering, John, are we getting any questions from people?
A lot of people are talking about the monitor, some saying, hey, the footage should be shown to parents.
Yeah,
Another person even
which
said
they do,
that-
right?
Yes, one bus driver did tell me that she said, pull the tape. Look, whose child is it then if
Sure.
it's not yours?
Right.
Another person, Nathan, just said, hey, parents should be held accountable.
There you go.
Yes, that's it.
Ultimately,
that's it.
to me, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, and I asked them in the story you'll see coming up at 10, you'll see the answer they gave me when I asked, do the parents realize what's going on? You'll see. It's so genuine.
Ooh.
They appear, you can see the frustration when they answered that single question.
Yeah, because it seems to me the responsibility should fall on the parent, not necessarily the school district, because if you go to if you say to the parent, your kid, it's like misbehaving in class, okay?
Right.
You're disrupting
Same rules.
a teacher, a bus driver
Right.
who has to pay attention. Maybe your kid, not only are they not on the bus, they're not in school. Maybe they need to go that far.
I couldn't do it.
You know what I
I couldn't
mean?
do that job, Len, not with, after speaking to these bus drivers and hearing what they're going through, reading the reports from 5 school districts.
So is
it's
it,
just,
so are you getting the sense that some people have been driving these buses for 30 years. Has it gotten worse?
I asked them that and they just said it's just different things happening. Like 30 years ago, there wasn't a gun on the bus. It's just they're getting more brazen, if you
Yeah,
will.
there
The
you go.
students are getting more brazen.
I got it.
And bold,
All right.
So anything else, John? Do we have any questions or comments?
Nakia just kind of re-emphasized your point earlier that the supervisors aren't turning in the write-ups.
Yes,
Communication.
we heard that a lot from the bus drivers
Right.
He
that
just mentioned
they
that
were
in his
concerned
presentation.
that the write-ups that they have, the complaint reports against a certain student, were just sitting with their supervisor and not moving on to the school. So hopefully now that they're speaking directly to the administrators, it will help out.
Yeah,
They
it
need
should.
some kind of change. At this point, they said something needs to change. They don't know what, when, how, but they're willing to try anything at this point.
There's certainly a better crackdown and
Yeah.
a more direct line to responsibility, whether it's the school or the parents. Cheryl Mercedes tonight, investigative reporter, 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Danger on board. What are we talking about? Our school buses. Very unfortunate. You have to
Yeah.
see it, hear it. If you have any questions, you can Facebook her, reach out to Cheryl. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear from
Absolutely.
you. And hear from, what is it, a dozen bus drivers you have?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had quite an audience. We invited 7 and more than a dozen showed up.
Okay, so you'll hear from them
They're
tonight.
passionate.
Passionate,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'll be on social answering your questions throughout the evening. If anything comes up and you have any questions you'd like to have answered, we will follow up.
All right, thanks.